Hello everyone, I am Wendy with Winds of Change Ministries, and today I have exciting news. So, oh, so the low water bridge is still flooded. We had a massive storm, you can kind of see a little bit, just come through, washed out, made a big mess on the sidewalk. Anyway, yeah, we had tornado sirens going off. We had a big mess for about 30 minutes, and then it was gone. It just showed up all of a sudden and then disappeared. Well, that is kind of how my energy is feeling right now. I am just exploding with excitement. So it is Easter, according to the secular calendars and everything. I have an apology to make. I gave some bad information yesterday, and today I'm going to correct that information. But before I correct myself, I will tell you what happened. I was at the gym, and I got a message that I was going to have a mystery to solve, and that Metatron was going to work with me in solving this mystery. And before I was done in the gym, I did have the mystery solved. So I was really excited about that. Now, years ago, I didn't know who Metatron was. I didn't know what angel numbers were. I just got downloads from God and obeyed my instructions, okay? And I was told that God wanted me to cry for 40 days and 40 nights. And to play out, to reenact the flood. And so while I was working on my Bible project, God and I looked in the book of Genesis, and we figured out what day of the year the floodwaters started, and that was when I was supposed to start crying for 40 days and 40 nights. And it turned out, now, we got a cardinal. Let's see if we can pick it up. No, it flew away. Anyway, now the Gregorian calendar is a solar calendar, and the Hebrew calendar is a lunar calendar, and their dates don't always match up. So if I had, for instance, Feast of Trumpets might be in late September one year. It might be in early October another year. It might be in early September another year. Okay, so the dates never really match up. And but this particular year that God wanted me to do it, it was going to be November 11th, which is the Metatron's number, which is a very powerful new beginnings number, right? Now, I did not know it when I was doing this. I have come to discover this stuff, okay? I started on 11/11, and it ended on the winter solstice, okay? So very, very, those were things happening, and this was before I even was too interested in like astrology or astronomy. And as you can tell, I still am not very interested in it too much. I just kind of stumble on these things that God gives me, and then I find, oh, well, that's cool. All right, I don't keep my eyes glued to this stuff like some people do. Anyway, so yes, the number 1111, it matters to me. It means something to me. Because I did fulfill that merit badge of mine where I cried for 40 days and 40 nights as I worked on my Bible project, and I experienced some crazy things. I was given puzzle pieces to things that were wild and crazy, okay? And it took me a long time to process those terrifying experiences that kept me crying for 40 days and 40 nights. But I have come to realize that those were puzzle pieces that to the new path to salvation, okay? The new path to salvation as we enter the season of oil. All right, so it turns out apparently Metatron has been working with me for a while, and I just didn't know it. But now he's making his presence known. You know, I had that dream the other day where I had this angelic energy, this loving energy, hold my hand at the base of an elevator, encouraging me to finish my work. And so who is Metatron? Well, I have since recently, actually, just like within the last couple of months, discovered who he is. And he is not discovered, I decided to research, okay? It's like it's been in my face, but I just didn't want to research it because it sounds like, like a transformer. And I was like, I didn't want to take that angel serious. Little did I know he's the most powerful angel. Anyway, he, in the dream the other day with that bald Mr. Kling guy who held my hand and gave me encouragement, I do believe that was probably Metatron. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was, as he introduced himself to me. I've had different angels introduce themselves to me, different gods also, over the years. And just kind of pop in and interact a little bit. And I'm pretty sure that was who he was. And because I already felt like it was God the Father's avatar. And apparently Metatron works for God the Father on a very close basis and will and basically impersonates God the Father, who is the invisible God. Okay? So, yes, I was told that I had a mystery that I was going to solve, and I had it solved before I even left the gym because of work I had done connected with my flood research. If you look in the Bible, there's a segment of time that is 150 days. 150 days is 3 times 50. And I've already told you that Pentecost is 7 weeks out plus a day. And that was my mistake. That's what most people in the secular world actually call Pentecost. But it's not Pentecost. How do I know? Well, after the wind of the Holy Spirit fell upon the upper room, and the disciples went out, apostles, after Yeshua, Jesus was crucified, when they left and started speaking in tongues, there were people who accused them of being drunk on new wine. Well, according to what we understand to be Pentecost, that would be late spring, right? And late spring, you don't have new wine in late spring. So, if you do more research into the Bible, you will discover that there's actually 3 harvests. There's the harvest of the grain, the harvest of the wine, and the harvest of the oil. And they're all separated by their own little 50 days, okay? So the flood is linked to Pentecost. And anyway, it's just part of the calendar. Part of God's important calendar. And so anyway, Jesus said that during the Last Supper, he says, I'm not going to drink the wine. I will drink it new. In other words, he wasn't going to partake of the wine that represented his crucifixion for his own salvation. Can you blame him, right? Now, he didn't want to drink that wine. He was going to have to go through the sacrifice. So, when is the new wine? It is in the fall. Many people have speculated that Jesus would return during the fall, right? And they're expecting him to come for his bride, all right? So, what is one of the oldest covenants known? Marriage covenants, okay? Marriage covenants. So the new covenant, so we got the Old Testament, we got the New Testament, and then we got the brand New Testament, which we're living in today. We're living in biblical times. And the new covenant is not going to be a sacrifice in the traditional way that we expected it. It's not going to be an animal sacrifice. It's not going to be a human sacrifice. No, this covenant is going to be a marriage ceremony during the time of the new wine, when Jesus is going to be willing to drink of the new wine. Okay? So, that's all pretty exciting stuff. I was mistaken to think, or to repeat the same misinterpreted Pentecost holy day, okay? True Pentecost happened during the time of the new wine. Wine takes time to ferment. So, it's natural that this new wine would be after the harvest of the grapes. So it would be during the harvest of the oil. So, and I have told you guys that the season of oil is the season of the Holy Spirit, is the season of the bride, it's the season of the New Jerusalem, it's the season of the new teachings of peace. So, exciting stuff. But it gets better. Oh, my head's been going off like firecrackers. And I'm giving full disclosure because no one can stop what God has already put in motion. Okay? Yeah. What's going to happen was meant to happen. Anyway, so if we count out 150 days, it is September 21st. This September 21st, now remember I told you that the feast days, the Hebrew feast days, don't always line up with the Gregorian days, okay? But this September 21st happens to be Feast of Trumpets, which is pretty significant. Isn't there supposed to be a great trumpet sound? The last trump before Jesus comes? Huh? Another interesting thing about September 21st is that it is also the day of an eclipse. An eclipse is the joining of the masculine energy of the sun with the feminine energy of the moon. Okay? So it's a union between masculine and feminine. If Jesus was going to be coming for his bride, don't you think it would probably, he's the masculine energy, don't you think he would time it for the, don't you think he would time it for that particular day? You know, when the sun and the moon are joined together? Anyway, now this particular eclipse is only going to be 80% of the eclipse. 80-20. Kind of like the yin yang, right? Anyway, this eclipse can be seen in the in New Zealand, and for those of you who have been watching my video, they speak Maori in New Zealand, Maori, okay, which sounds a lot like Marie. I am Windy Marie, and God had a song pop up from a guy I'd never even heard of before, Stan Walker, who had a song that included that language, Maori. And this particular video was one of the peer pressuring that God used to encourage me to follow through with shaving my head. If you haven't seen that video, please do so. You might find it pretty interesting. But Maori, or Maori, means it's a separation point between the ordinary and the extraordinary. And it can be also interpreted as the separation, the barrier, the frequency barrier that separates the physical from the spiritual, the physical world from the spirit world. Now, Metatron is Enoch. Okay? Metatron is Enoch. Enoch was the man who ascended, never tasted death, he ascended. Metatron wants to work with me by that elevator. Okay? That elevator that ascends. So, in the New Jerusalem, laws are going to be established. The New Jerusalem teachings. Laws are going to be established. People who obey those laws, those guidelines, they will be able to ascend. Similar to Metatron. You know, kind of like be raptured. And people who, this is the new covenant. How do you know this, Wendy? Well, it's in my DNA to know this stuff, okay? And I've collected puzzle pieces along the way also. So, you know, so many people think that Jesus is going to come and rapture them, and they don't even follow the commandments. You got to follow the rules. Because that frequency fence, it's a real thing. And you got to follow the rules of the New Jerusalem. Anyway, we are living in exciting times, and stay tuned. I'm going to be teaching on this stuff, and you know, you just can't stop what God has set in motion. Okay? Nothing can stop it. I am working with Metatron. I am working with Archangel Michael. I am working with Jesus. I am working with many gods. And what is happening was meant to happen. It was prophesied to happen for those who can read between the lines. And anyway, exciting times. Please like the video. Share your thoughts in the comment section below. And, be sure to subscribe. Hit the notification button. You're not going to want to miss the things that I will be teaching. Anyway, my name is Wendy, and we're all living in the winds of change.